Hey guys, welcome back to Home Built, and today I'm going to keep going on the head porting on my Datsun engine. Today I'm going to keep going on the porting on my Datsun engine, and a lot of your comments were really helpful in the last video. Particularly, I'm going to keep going on the exhaust port side of things. On the intake port, I'm not going to do a lot more. So first up, I'm going to continue going on these exhaust ports and just see how much nicer and neater I can make them. I got them in shape last time. Now I'm just going to try and polish the inside a bit and make it just a bit smoother. As you saw last week, my drill press died, and some of the comments, some of the guys mentioned they actually drilled these holes by hand with an air drill, not using a regular electric drill. Air drill has a much higher speed and torque setting, so I'm going to go through and very, very carefully try and drill these by hand. And I hope I don't mess it up, because I really don't want to. Alright, so that all went quite well. That was fine. I just had to be really careful, but the galleries are all drilled now and they're all the way they're supposed to be. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go around and tidy up some of the holes. Some of these holes have got sort of burrs around the edge where they've the aluminium has popped up. So I'm going to use this step drill bit just by hand and just go around some of these holes that I drilled and just sort of stick it in and just take the top off of the holes just so that they now sit nice and level and flat and won't interrupt with my head gasket later. Alright, I'm going to leave the head there for now. I'm happy with the water galleries are drilled out and it's cleaned up, and the porting, I'm happy with that level of where I'm going. I'm not an expert, and I don't need to go to town. I don't want to risk damaging the valve seats or anything like that by trying to port in through the top. So I'm going to move on. But just before I do, there were a lot of comments last week about my conical burr carbide tip that I was using in the aluminium. This is apparently for mild steel. It's not for aluminium. There's a different type for it, but there are a bunch of suggestions saying if you use a bit of WD-40 on it, it'll stop it from clogging up. And there were some suggestions about how to clean it out, and some of them were actually just to grind a bit of mild steel. So I've got a bit of scrap here, and I'm going to see how it goes before I move on and just see if I can clean out this burr. So that was a great tip. It worked perfectly. See there, all nice and clean. So keep that in mind for future. If you've had one of these and it's full of aluminium, just use it on a bit of mild steel and it cleans right up. Moving on. All right, so I'm going to leave the head for now, because the next things I need to do is things like lapping the valves, and I need some lapping compound, and I need some bits and pieces that I need to move on with that. So I'll order that in the next week or so, and when that comes in, I'll get onto that. For now, I want to get back onto this body, and I want to try and get at least the rolling shell completed, or as much as I can, and ready for primer. So guess what? I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but I have another oil can effect right here. So you guessed it, more panel shrinking. So for those who didn't get it in the previous episode, I'll just run through the basic principles again of how I worked out how panel shrinking works. Is basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my blowtorch and heat the area up. And as soon as I do, the metal visibly makes a big egg in it. It really expands a lot, and it bows right out, and there's a big pronounced egg. And basically what I'm doing is I'm taking this sort of floppy panel and then heat it up so there's a big egg in it. And then while it's hot, I try and knock the top of the egg all into itself and basically sort of knock the egg flat. So then when it cools, it then tries to pull itself flat, and it gets rid of that popping effect. It pulls it tighter. That's the basic principle behind the heat shrinking. So I'm going to do it a couple of times on this corner here and get rid of this awful poppiness. And of course it looks like I completely forgot to turn the camera on for that bit, but it's all fixed and there's no more popping. It's all nice and good. So you might have to go back and look at some of my older videos to actually see me doing the panel shrinking. But I promise you it works. It's surprisingly good. So that's looking much better now. So now it's time to just put a light skim of body filler over some of these areas, just to flush it in and try and get this panel crease back into it again, and yeah, see how it goes. The hardener just exploded out the base all over me. This is really coming together nicely. It's almost straight, so another final skim, and the back half of the shell is looking pretty good. It's slow and tedious and messy, but it's got to be done. We're just getting there. Just trying to get this line just right is a bit of a challenge, particularly here because of the way this panel had been damaged before, etc. The line has pretty much disappeared, so I've got to recreate it. That adds a little bit of complexity, but it's not too bad. We'll get there. So this has been the most difficult part of the car to do, is rebuilding this swage line here. Because this car was damaged here before, and then when I cut the guards out and stuff, I sort of knocked a lot of the damage out. But before it was just had a whole heap of body filler in there. Now there's only a fine skim, but that swage line is only actually a really faint crease, and it's disappeared here. So I've had to rebuild it, and you can sort of see it probably along there. That's where it is, and it's just a fold in the metal. Here, to rebuild it, there's still a little bit of it on this edge here, and I've just had to make sure I go and sort of hold the sanding block on an angle and just work above and sort of sand off, and then below, you know, sand up towards it to try and keep that edge there, and don't sand the edge at all, and gradually it'll bring it down to that level that we want. But it takes some time, and I've done probably 4 or 5 coats today, just going backwards and forwards, and as it is, it's not quite there, but it's getting pretty close, and I'm out of time again, so I think that must mean it's time for Fun Facts with Mrs. Jeff.
Hi guys. Brock Racing Enterprises, or BRE, started to take more ground in 1968. Peter Brock recruited fabricator John Morton to BRE, but he soon became the team's #1 driver. With his now iconic red, blue and white livery, they went on to win the SCCA Pacific Coast D production title in Datsun Roadsters. They followed that up in 1969, and in 1970 the 240Z was introduced mid-season and won its very first race. BRE fielded two 240Zs in 1971 and won 2 more C production titles. For the new Trans Am 2.5 series, BRE fielded a Datsun 510 and with John Morton driving, took out 6 of the 9 races, winning the championship. They went on to dominate in 1972, and in 1973, shockingly, Datsun gave the contract to another team, and BRE closed up shop.
Hey guys, we haven't had one of these in a while, but it's time for mail time. And we have a letter from Sweden. Great following your channel. It's inspiring to see your work and great results you achieve. Here comes a couple of decals and a patch from Porsche Club Sweden, sent from me personally, not officially from the club. Hope you enjoy them. Keep up the great work. Best regards, Eric Nye. And he sent through a badge and a couple of stickers. And these are going to go straight up onto the sticker wall. And if you guys have anything from around the world that you want to stick up on my sticker wall, just send it to Home Built by Jeff, PO Box 1520, Bowral, New South Wales 2576, Australia. All right guys, again, done for another week. There's more work to do on the head, but I have to order some more stuff, obviously, to finish lapping those valves and putting things together. I'm still waiting on a few bits and pieces before I can build the engine again, but I'm not in any rush. I'm going to take my time. Body-wise, I'm very close to having the rear end of the shell completely done. I've still got the roof to do, but then the shell is ready to get into high-fill primer. It's getting closer. It is getting closer, slow but surely. Anyway, as always, if you want to help the channel out, head down to the description and you can head to our store and get some shirts, hoodies or coffee mugs. And please like and subscribe to Home Built by Jeff, and you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at the same place.
Bye guys.
See you guys.
Traction title. It's getting worse. It's getting better, getting worse. Oh, you've written in one its very first race, but you've written one like O-N-E. How confusing are you?
Oh, yeah.
510. Boy, crick, you just done it.